Really?
Okay, hi everyone. It's nice to be back here again. So today we're going to be talking about something a little different than last time. Today's topic is about bullying. And I work with a lot of teachers and present this in different schools. And over the last few years, teachers have been calling me because I do a lot of one-on-one. And there's so much bullying going on, it's increasing so much. What do I do? What's the answer? And it's not just a one-word answer, because throughout the years, there are schools that are becoming very innovative, and they're really focusing on curriculum and bringing new methods and approaches in. But there's still that same stigma in every classroom, where in many ways it's very deprived of being noticed or being nourished, of this concept of being bullied, and there's a victim of bullying, and there's the peer pressure, and kids coming to school having no friends, and just that whole stigma of what's going on in the circles of the classroom that's not really being taken a stand on. So I've been teaching for 14 years, and when I saw this increasing in my classrooms, in my classes, I decided to set up a new culture, because that's really the only way to stop a behavior is by changing it. And teachers are very focused on the consequence and stopping it, and but really it's about changing the behavior and focusing on changing the behavior, and really building a culture where children can thrive in the classroom. So if you're going to be focusing on all the amazing projects and all that, that's amazing. But the aspect of what's going on in these circles is getting worse and worse over the years, because children can't thrive in an environment where they're being bullied and tormented, and all that's what's going on in the classroom when a teacher is not looking, or they're doing it behind the teacher's back. So it's really about creating a culture of leadership, strong friendships, inclusion, and setting up systems that create that. So in order to create a culture, you have to have a strong value system as an educator. You have to know your place as a teacher. What's your goals as a teacher, for every kid? And that's why I always tell teachers in the beginning of the year, that's when you do the most of your observations. Get to know your children, really see where they're at. And I wrote on the back of this booklet, a lot of questions that you can ask your students, but we'll get to that later on. So really get to know your students so you can make your goals for each one. Because you really want them to come out a certain way, and it's your responsibility as a teacher to get them to be there. I had a student once who was bullying other kids. She was really a very challenging child to have in the class. And the director came over to me and said, I think that we're just going to have the parent take her out of the school because we can't support this behavior. And I said, but we're her teachers. We have to make sure she can succeed. It's our responsibility to figure out a way to make sure that she can succeed. And that's when I really went into this whole bullying and did a lot of research and figured out a way to make a culture where bullying can stop. Because if you're making a culture in your classroom of strong friendship, of inclusion, of positivity, it doesn't support the bullying. And in the end, she really ended up thriving. And when we transformed everything, she thrived, and she came out to be so confident, so successful. Everything that she was looking for to be nourished, she got it through positivity. So our number one goal has to be to build a classroom, strong friendships of inclusion and leadership qualities in the children. So how do we do that? First of all, you have to set out your expectations as a teacher. And when your value system and actions are aligned consistently, and when you set out expectations for the children, they will live up to it if you're consistent with it. And you have to tell them what your expectations are. So I'm going to go over now systems and practices that I have set up, that I've seen an amazing culture emerge in my class. The goals of these systems have created something so unbelievable, which literally prevented bullying from happening. Because the focus was not to stop bullying, but to change the behavior. And to build a culture where the children can be accountable for one another and thrive in that environment. So the systems and practices that bring awareness and accountability for one another. And before putting these systems into place, introduce and explain to the children through role play, puppets, stories, dramatic play, and lessons and morals. So explain to them everything through role play and act it with them. Like really give them a clear vision of what you expect from them with behaviors and everything else in the classroom. Because you are the leader, you're the role model, and if you want them to be great leaders, you have to be a great leader. They're looking to you they're looking at you to be your role model and showing them good leadership skills. So you have to also have your goals as a teacher. Now, I set up a lot of systems, and I'm just going to go through it with you, and you'll see as we go through it what it creates in the classroom. So when I saw all these stigmas, I was like, there's no way I'm going to have this continue, where kids come in feeling tormented, bullied, kids come in feeling like they don't have friends to play with, and the peer pressure that they deal with is so much. So I transformed that by setting up all these systems and techniques. So when you start out the year, I took a picture of every kid and I made a classroom puzzle. And next to that puzzle, you could do it out of a tree, however you want to do this puzzle. It could be just the pictures all like in a circle. There's a lot of ways you can do this puzzle. And I had a big phone next to it because I'm a believer in letting the walls be meaningful to the children. Like let it be meaningful instead of just having tons of things on the walls. Let it be calm, and because less is more. So I have the attendance helper who when a kid doesn't come to school, she takes the picture out of the puzzle and she puts it on the phone to show like this person's not here today, and that means we have to call them, because there are days and there are stories I've heard that kids haven't come to school in a week and they never got a phone call, and what that does to a child is it's like the biggest thing for them when they get a phone call. So I, as a teacher, I tell the kids, I'm really sad because one of us is not here today. We're a classroom family. Something's missing from our puzzle. There's a piece missing and we're not complete. So children, what do you think we need to do? And I say, I'm really sad that someone's missing, but I'm really happy that you're here. So they say, we have to call our friend. So we call the friend, and I make a big deal out of it every time someone's not there. So they really get the feeling of like, wow, every child counts in this class. If I'm concerned that I care for every child, they will care for every child. So it's the way you put it out there. The way you validate your children is the way they're going to validate their peers. So it was a very nice system how like when someone's not here, they put the puzzle piece on the phone and they know we have to call. And if like, let's say we don't call in the morning, they'll remind you, we have to call, we didn't make the phone call. So that's the attendance person. She makes sure that the phone call is made. That's her job, to give her the feeling of accountability that we have to make sure that's, instead of like having her do something else, like that is her job for the week or the day.
Do you do this during lunch time? Or
I do this in the morning circle before anything.
You actually make the phone call?
We do it in the morning circle.
No, you actually call it whenever, or call the children around.
Yeah, we do it all around, and they sing a song, and we tell them to feel better, and how much you need to our class, and we're not complete without you. And they see it, like when that puzzle piece is missing, they feel it like there's something missing. So it gives them like an idea of like, wow, we're really one, like we have to look out for each other.
But what if they're on vacation? Or do they
Right, no. So when they're not there that day, we call to find out why they're not there.
Okay.
And the kids know, she'll be back in a few days, and maybe we'll call in a few days to see how her vacation was. Just giving them the idea of like looking out, we care, sensitivity, being aware of our surroundings. So that really creates the goal to have them feel accountable for one another, and it starts creating a culture of inclusion. But again, it's all about how you put it out there. If you really show the kids that you care every time, that's the feeling that they're going to feel for each other. So that was one system I set up, and it really created something amazing, because like they were very into like, we didn't call our friend, we have to call, she's on the phone. So, once we did that phone call, they felt better. Like they really felt like, wow, we did what we had to do. Another thing that I do with the kids is I have something called the Friend of the Day, which every day, or you could do every week, however you want. She's responsible for going outside and just looking around to see if any children are playing alone, or if they want to be alone, it's fine. But just to say, I'm the friend of the day. We have like a whole poem. Do you want to play today? Just to create a culture like you don't have to be afraid like you'll have no friends during playtime or the class. Like we're here to build friendships. So it gives them that feeling of like, wow, I'm not going to be alone. Like it creates a secure feeling for the children. And when we do this, the friend of the day gets to have a box. And the beginning of the year, I made a collage with them of like their favorite things. So they put I put mirrors, like sketchbooks, like sensory stuff in the box. So when they do find that friend, they could create like more supportive communication skills. They can really like take out things, show them what their favorite things are, talk, like there's a mirror in there so they talk about how they look, and it creates conversation. It's not because when your kid is there, they're like, hi, like, so I really teach them how to introduce themselves and how to like communicate. And it really works, because what happened is that when this was going on, in the end, all the other kids joined that child who was playing alone. So it really created a beautiful culture when we set up the system. And also, like, before each system, I explained to them how it works and like what different ideas of what you can do. So it helps children just to become more aware of each other. And they see if one kid is not playing with someone, like this is our culture, like we look out for our friends. Instead of bullying them, like we look out and include them. And I make that like a really serious expectation, like this is what we do. So that becomes part of their culture. And this right now I'm starting with early childhood, so it's different in elementary, it's a whole different system, but this is building up these practices. Then I have something called watering plants, watering our friendships. So instead of a kid like coming and watering the plants, like let's water our friendships. So this is already going into the bully who wants to feel empowered, who wants to defeat someone, and the victim who's feeling low, her himself, because that's who the bully usually like victimizes, the person who looks different or who has low self-esteem. Even though they have low self-esteem, they look out for certain people that they can bully. So what I do is I have for each kid, when I do the observation, I have like different affirmations I did for them. So there's the person who waters the plants also waters their friendship. So every day a kid gets to have these affirmations poured on them or on their hands. They could choose where they want it to be poured on. And the child reads or does a picture of it, whichever level they're up to, and they say, you're so smart, you're so beautiful, just giving them affirmations, like encouraging their friend and giving them positive feedback on who they are and just noticing their skills and their strengths. So when your friends are complimenting you, it gives them such a boost of confidence. It empowers them. So every day the children would do this, and it's amazing what it has done. So they get used to complimenting and using positive words. And there's like a whole list of affirmations that I made pictures of and wrote the print under so they could also learn how to read. And this is amazing how they water their friendships. So every day there's the plant girl who waters the plant, waters the friendships, and she does this. Then another thing we do is the line leader helper. This person makes sure that everyone's safe online. They like make sure to look out for their surroundings, look at if anyone's missing, and that's their job. Like to make sure everyone that's there, because the puzzle that's missing, like whoever's not missing in the puzzle has to be on the line. So that's her job, to make sure that everyone's on the line and everyone's safe, and then she could be the line leader and lead everyone out. But safety comes first, and accountability for one another. So that also like creates like a very safe environment for them where they're looking out for each other. And again, like these practices, like you have to like constantly like remind them and be consistent with it. But once it's already in place, it's amazing how it works so systematically, and like they really care for each other. They're like, oh no, someone's missing. We have to find out where they are. Like, go check the bathroom and see if they're there. Like, go with the other Mora. So, like, she really does make sure everyone's online, and she knows it's her responsibility. And that's also for coming inside. Then another thing that I do is we do this is creating leadership qualities. every day there's a public speaker who reads a book to the class during snack time. I don't read the book. They read the book based on the pictures, what they think it's about. And this way, the kid who has social anxiety, who looks down, who can't speak, so I have her read the book like a little bit more often to get into public speaking. And obviously the first time she's shaking, but I start out by having her read me a story quietly, like privately, and then slowly, like I'll have a kid sit next to me, and then I'll have her read the story to me and the other kid, and then I'll add another kid, and building up her social skills and building up her leadership qualities. And after a few weeks, she can stand in front of the classroom and read a book. But a lot of times, these kids just get like overlooked, or she's not talking, she's not like, and they don't really get what they need to build their social skills, to build their leadership qualities. I had a girl in my class once, she couldn't even look at me, and like kids were bullying her. So I wanted to build her self-esteem and her social skills, so we started doing these books. She started standing in front of the class. I had to break her out of it slowly, and like within a few weeks, she was standing confidently reading a book to the class. It was such a breakthrough for her. So when her confidence level went up, the kids were like, wow, like they saw her differently. But I also like really like gave her positive feedback on how hard it was in the beginning, and she's really doing it now. And like it's really all you and how you look at the children. That's how they'll look at their peers. So that was also a very good quality for the kids to learn, like public speaking, being confident, showing them what confidence looks like, and showing them like, do you want to be like this and like all scared, or do you want to stand confidently and open a book and say whatever you think the picture is, like it doesn't have to be what the words are, and just say the story. And like you show them, you interact with them, how to speak, how to look at everybody, the questions that they can ask, like teach them how to engage with their friends, teach them to be accountable for one another, teach them to validate one another. So a lot of these systems bring out those qualities, and in a very strong way. So you're building a culture now where you're like preventing bullying from happening, because they're becoming good friends, they're protecting each other, they're learning to really care for one another and respect one another. So the next thing is I do the rainbow effect, which is, it teaches them about inclusion and diversity. And that's when I sit down with them, and I'll tell you in a few minutes that every other day I do circle of friendship with them, and we discuss different topics and role play how to deal with all these like challenging situations in the class. So when I presented this system, the rainbow effect, it talks about how every kid has a different color, everyone looks different. So we accept, and I read books on different kinds of people, different kinds of religions, different kinds of differences in people, and how we have to accept one another and care for one another, no matter how someone looks, no matter where they come from. Then I give everyone a color. So that's the color for their, and this is an amazing system because they love it so much. Everyone gets a color, including the teacher. That's their color for the year. And I tell them, children know if someone looks like this, you can say to their color, like green, green, how come green is not shining today? And it helps them just recognize their peers, their friends' feelings. So they were really good at the system. They love doing it. One day I got a question like, Mora, honey, how come silver is not shining today? Like, what? No, and when you see how you put these practices into place, how they really take it seriously. And it really felt good to hear that. I was like, wow, like you really got it. Like you really, like, they became so aware of each other's feelings, of their surroundings, so much with all these systems and practices, because I kept it so strong. I kept this expectation so strong in the class. And this was our value system. This is what we do. So they really took a lot from the rainbow effect, and we really like set out a lot on differences and how accepting each other's differences, because they don't know, you know, if they see like someone in a wheelchair, let's say, they don't know like what does that mean. So you teach them, you educate them, and you tell them how to act to someone like that, what it's about, and that's in all differences. We're going to get more into that when I do the circle of friendship. So that's also a really nice system. Another thing that we do is, I think I went through all of that. So we really just put these practices into place. And when I said, like, let your walls have meaning, This is also a very nice thing that really made a difference in our class. On our wall, we have something called the bucket filler, and everyone has their name, and under their name is their picture and a bucket. You could do the bucket like a real bucket, or you can make it out of paper. And when they do like really nice acts, you could take a picture of them, or you could draw a picture with them and put it on their bucket and show them, look what you did today. You like shared a toy with your friend, or you looked out for your friend, someone who fell, you helped them get up, and like you put all that on their bucket, and it really gives them empowerment. Like, wow, like their acts of kindness are building up. So this culture of empowering each other and doing acts of good and kindness really falls into place in a really nice way. So let the walls be meaningful to them. Let these strategies come into play, because it really makes the biggest difference. As opposed to just having a cleanup helper or like the kid who waters the plant, like let their jobs really have an effect on their life. Then what I do is like I said, 3 or 4 times a week, we have something called Circle of Friendship. And this is so important because this is where they really learn to be resilient. These are the skills you're really teaching them. So I'm just going to go through a few topics that I teach them. And when you tell a kid, say you're sorry. So I teach them in my circle time, first of all, say what you mean and mean what you say. Because that's what we really want them, is to feel what they're saying, to really mean what they're saying, not like I'm sorry and like walk away rolling their eyes. So we discuss what does it mean to say what you mean and mean what you say. Like if you really did hurt somebody, we discuss what do you think we should do. We make books. Like I'll make a storyline and I'll ask them, what do you think we should do? Like you grab something from your friend, how do you think he felt? And show them, like make the pictures. Did he look like this? Did he look like this? How can we make them look happy again? And like brainstorm with them and really like tell them and play it out. And not just one time, like every day till they really get it. So then when they say I'm sorry, they'll really mean it. Like what does sorry really mean, So really go into that. Another thing to really go into is what does it mean to be honest and be trusting. And that's another thing for kids to really learn and build in these years. What does it mean to be trusting, and why it's important to be honest, because you want people to trust you. And just go into that, bring books in about it, discuss it, talk about it. But like again, not just once, like have that be like the whole week, certain time. Like, because once it's really engraved in them, they really know how to deal with the situation. Then we do problem solving, because we want to create an environment where they don't rely on the teacher for everything, that they can problem solve on their own. So when a kid does come to bully their friend, they know what to say to stand up to it. So we use like words like stop, I don't like that, it hurts my feeling, and like we role play and we practice with them what to say, what to do if someone's hurting your feelings, if someone's bullying you. Like because if your class is not having bullying, they'll still get bullied from another class, a kid, or at home, or whatever. So at least you're teaching them the skills to what to do when they are getting bullied and the steps to take. So we teach them the word stop, I don't like it. If they don't stop, you walk away. You come to a teacher, and you need to tell children it's okay to come to the teacher and tell them what happened, and they have to tell the teacher what happened, and we don't keep secrets. When a bully says, if you tell anyone, I'm going to kill you, or this or that, like you have to really go into it, like telling them there's no secrets, and you do tell. There is no secrets, and that's with any uncomfortable situation that they're in. Bullying, or if someone's touching them inappropriately, anything like that. Like you have to like spend 2 weeks on explaining to them, like there's no secrets. You tell a teacher, you tell a parent what's going on, and don't be scared, and it's okay, you can trust us, we're not going to tell that person. Like just make them feel like they're safe and they know that they can tell someone what's going on. They don't have to live with it, because a lot of kids don't tell about their tormenting experiences in school, and you'll see later on like the severe effects that it has on children, both for the bully and the victim of being bullied. So you really want to make sure that you explain to them, and you could do puppet shows, do storybooks. Like with the class, you say there was a boy who came to another kid and said, you're not coming to my birthday party, or whatever. Children, what happens next? So the next step is you teach children because they're accountable for one another, that they don't gang up with the bully, they gang up with the victim, and they turn their back to the bully. So we're here now. And you show them, if you see your friends getting bullied, you gang up with the victim and you protect the person that's being bullied. And you turn away from the bully and you show the bully, we're protecting our friends. This is not acceptable behavior. And that already, like, the bully, like, it just falls short. There's nothing, because his goal is not really to fight someone, his goal is to defeat someone. So they felt defeated because no one's standing up with them. But then when these practices and these systems are put into place, it empowers the bully, so it doesn't really happen in this kind of environment, bully, because you're giving them what they really need, of being empowered, of feeling like they're in control, but in a healthy way. So we want to also make sure that we can foster independence. So my expectation for the children is don't come to me with your problems. Like, learn how to problem solve, learn how to speak to your friends, and problem solve and be solution-oriented children. So what I do is, the first 3 months, we go through different scenarios of what happens if I want this chair and you want this chair, what do? And we discuss different solution-oriented options, and we role play it. And like I always say, not one time, like every day of those 2 weeks, you role play it. You go through different scenarios, different problems that could arise. That's why I gave this out, because I usually put this in the drama center. So it's a really great way for kids to learn how to express their feelings, and they see it in the classroom. So if they forget what you taught them, they know, like, say your feelings, not like this, but like this. Like, express your feelings in a calm way. Teach children how to regulate their feelings by breathing exercises, by counting. All this that I'm saying is what I feel like is really neglected in the classrooms, and that's why so many of these issues are arising. Teachers are like, I don't understand, why is there so much bullying? Why is this coming up? Like, because you need to build a culture where it won't hold this kind of behavior. It's like, instead of focusing on taking out the fire, focus on preventing from having the fire. So you teach them this, and you have kids like, come up, do we do this? Do we do this? Show me how you do it. Have them practice, have them role play. Listen to your friend. Do we close our ears when our friend is talking to us, even though we feel so angry and so frustrated? How do we listen? Like, show me how you listen. Do we go like this, or do we look them in the eyes? And you practice with them. You set up like a scenario where, like, something happens and a kid gets angry, and you show the kid who is angry, like, how to listen, and you role play for them, and they act it out with puppets or whatever, and then you teach them to show that they understand, and have them repeat back what the friend said to show that they can understand, and then they brainstorm. So I love when kids brainstorm, and I always tell them, I don't want to hear your problems. Go in the corner there, figure out solutions, and I want to hear, and I can't wait to hear your solutions. And every time it works. They love being solution oriented. When I say, I want to hear only your solutions, and I can't wait to hear your solutions. So you can go anywhere you want and figure out a solution. This is like after weeks and weeks of practicing different scenarios, role playing with them in circle times, and they always come with solutions. Like, they know, Mora, I'm like, what do I want to hear? And they go, oh, okay. And they tell me their problem solving solutions. And all this sounds easier said than done, but you really have to like really put your attention to this, and like really put a lot into it so this culture can emerge. So when they see this, they also you can put numbers if you want, step number 1, step number 2, and it really helps them problem solve with this. So I discussed the words to use when they're being bullied. Like, teach them the words to use. Stop, I don't like it hurts my feelings. You're hurting my feelings, stop it. I don't like this. And you can teach, like they say, teach people how to treat you. Like, you as an adult can show someone how you want to be treated. If someone talks to you not nice, you say, I really didn't like that, I don't appreciate being spoken that way. So teach your kids how to teach their friends how to treat them, and really go over the words that they want to hear being used. Or like, if someone gets upset, like, how do you express your feelings to your friend? How would your friend want to hear it? Would they want you to shout at them? Or you could say, I'm really feeling upset because you took my toy. Like, you teach them how to teach their friends how to treat them. And also, as an adult, you teach people how to treat you. So, just focus on the actions with the victim, how to deal with being bullied, what actions they can take. And if there is severe bullying going on in your class, as a teacher, you have to report it. Like, don't focus so much, like you have to tell the parents or the administration the facts of what's going on, and you really have to be on top of it. Like, whoever has to call the parents, but you have to make sure that it's like really happening, because these kids they suffer so much from being bullied. It's a lifetime fact. So you have to really be on top of it. Whichever way it has to be reported, you as a teacher have to be responsible to make sure this problem is solved ASAP. And again, like, just keep focusing on building a positive culture and teaching kids to stand up to the bully and the words to use. So if you turn the page, there's a lot of books on bullying, and reading books to children also, like, how to deal with bullying. And there's a lot of stories for kids' age. And I found that when you make books with them and you have them finish the book, it also becomes very effective. Like, you start a story where someone's bullying a kid and you ask them, so what happens next, children? What should happen next? What's the right thing to do? What do you do if you're standing by and you see someone getting bullied? What do you think the victim should do? And you have them, like, give you the rest of the story and help them finish the story so there's a good outcome. That's also really effective. And you also teach children how to recognize bullying. What does bullying actually look like? So you have to teach them what it is and what to look out for. And if you see this is the steps that you take. This is what you do. You tell a teacher, you get all your friends to help the victim, and you turn your back. And I also role play that with them, so they know what to do when it happens. And it works so well, because I've had bullying in my class, and they all come and they help the victim, and then I deal with the bully after, and we really work with them, and it does change very drastically. Yeah.
And an activity that we do just to stress like what bullying is I draw a picture of Sammy or Sally, and it's a picture, and they start saying mean things, and I start crumpling it up.
That's amazing.
So then they can actually get a visual, because kind of hard, like, so we can get a visual of like what mean things say.
It's all visuals.
Yeah, and then we flatten it out, but he's still wrinkled. So no matter what,
that's
those
amazing.
wrinkles are there forever, and it's really effective. So they can really see like how effective, like the words, what word, and then
like what their feelings actually look like.
Yeah, so that's a really good something.
That is amazing.
And I remember her doing that, and I was like, oh, it's so good. And this past year, I was I stepped into the school, and there was so much bullying, and the kids were like, they weren't even that old. They were 4-year-olds, and like sick, disgusting bullying, like really being mean to each other, and like saying really hurtful things. And I did that.
You did that, and I got it.
And they were like in shock. And I said,
no,
try to flatten it out. And I called one of the boys up that, like, you know, was the leader.
It's very powerful.
And he tried to flatten. He's like, I could make the wrinkles go away. And like he literally tried for the whole class, and he couldn't make it go away. And they were like in awe.
It's very powerful. I love that. It is an amazing visual, and like anything that you could do to show them what the feelings look like gives them a very clear idea. You could also
like, you could say you're sorry, but you still
those words
still
are still
said
there.
those words. Yeah,
right.
exactly.
But at least they know to mean what to say and say what they mean.
Right.
At least they should have that kind of.
And think before we talk, because it's never going to go away. Like just
So they reverse
Right.
it. Like, how can you make them feel better? What can you say instead of saying that? We try to, when we unfold it, they're saying nice things.
Right.
So of how to like apologize and stuff, but it's still the damage is still done.
Right.
You know. Exactly.
Right, and that's why in the next page you'll see like the lifelong effects bullying has, which is so sad.
Yeah.
So that's why as a teacher and as a leader, like anything that you could do to prevent it is really like crucial. So just going through the steps, like really like teaching the children how to recognize bullying, what they can do for their friends, how they can come to the teacher if the victim doesn't come to the teacher. But if you really put these practices into place consistently and just go over with them over and over again, they get it, and it just becomes easier for them to approach you, to open up, not be scared about it, to be accountable for one another, to care for one another. Like all these systems I mentioned, just seeing what emerges from this whole culture is amazing. Like they really care for one another, and it really has prevented bullying in my class. I've seen it, but also as a teacher, we have to be careful with the words that we tell our kids, because they can also feel very not bullied by us, but put down. Like just for example, when a kid doesn't know something and you say, no, that's not what it is. You say try again. Everything just to really build their confidence, because that's what they really need. They need that's what they're nourishing the most. I always say, if a child has everything they need, their bed, their beautiful clothes, beautiful books, but they're not getting food, nourishment, then all that really doesn't do anything for them. So you can have the best academics, the best school, but if you're not really getting to the core issue, no kid could thrive in an environment like that. So just teach children not to fear bullying and to take a stand, and really all the things that we discussed, to go over these steps, but really go over it consistently, till they really get it. I always hear kids say at home, Mommy, or to their sister, stop it, I don't like it, it hurts my feelings. We practice those words over and over and over again. So then there's resilience and motivation come from having a sense of purpose, believing you have values to others, and engaging in acts of service that confirm that value. When these points in a positive direction, children gain momentum and positive accomplishments. When they don't, we see downward spirals regarding college learning, career, community, and overall life goals. So what you really want to make sure as a teacher is that you really can validate every child. And every child gets a feeling of a belonging in your class, a feeling of awareness. There are so many children who walk in and out of the classroom every day, and they're not really getting the validation or the attention that they need just from their teacher even. You want to make sure that no matter what a child looks like or whatever it is, that every child gets that awareness. So how do we really do that? So another system I set up in my class, which made the biggest difference, is I do one-on-one times every single day with another kid. And what has come from these moments, what I've learned about children, and I put all these questions that you could ask children, was really life-changing for them. Kids tell me who they're bullied at home, that they're being bullied in school, and from all the observations I would never even know, because it happens at moments that they'll do it when the teacher's really not looking. And I tell them, don't be afraid, we're this is a safe environment. I want to make sure you're safe, everyone's safe. And I go through the questions with them. So I even asked a girl once, who are your friends in school? And she looked at me with piercing blue eyes and she goes, Maura, I have no friends. And meanwhile, she does play with her friends, but just her feeling that way is wow, so what here is missing? What can I do to support this? So this is over the years of going through all these scenarios, I built these systems and cultures so that kids won't say I have no friends, because all these practices do create friendships, do create strong bonds. I really make it mandatory to have play dates so that they really can connect to other children. They can create more friendships with their peers. So having the one-on-one time is so crucial, because that's also when you see the bully, what they need and where they're coming from. And like they say, a lot of times bullying comes from seeing bullying at home or having low self-confidence or whatever it is. So as a teacher, when you put these practices into place, you're empowering the bully to have that positive reinforcement and empowerment in a positive way. But you as a teacher have to put out the line saying, this is never tolerated here, and really make that the value system. We don't tolerate this behavior. After you showing them what this behavior is, that it doesn't happen in this classroom, because we only want to build a positive environment. So you have to be, as a teacher, very on top of it. But after a few months, you see, once these systems are put into place, it's really a very nice, beautiful environment. They're not bullying. It happens here and there very little, but because you created such a culture to prevent it, it just falls through. So it's really up to the teacher to make sure that every kid succeeds. It's your responsibility to make sure to get your kids where they have to be emotionally, mentally, psychologically, whatever it takes. So I wrote a set of questions that teachers can ask their students. Teacher questions to students. You can read it through. They're really good questions. You can get a lot of information. It really helps to get to know your students and to support them with what they need. So it's a really, really great way to find out if there's anything you need to find out, or even to ask other children in the class, is there bullying going on? What do you see happening in the playground? Are there kids being a victim of bullying that I don't see? And really getting to the bottom of it and focusing on this aspect of the classroom, because this is where the children can thrive. Once they're in a healthy environment, they'll thrive academically, they'll thrive in every area of their life. So it's really up to you as a teacher to see yourself as a leader, as a role model, and how crucial your role is as a teacher and the effects that you'll have in these kids' life. And just think of you as a teacher. How do you want your kids to remember you? What are the words you want your kids to say about you? Like, this was my hero. This was someone who really took care of me, who really made me feel safe. I do something in my class. You know, it's original, but there are kids who do come to school looking very like non-academic, and it does affect their social skills. It does affect their communication. So I made it a thing in my class. Everyone's going to walk in looking very clean. If we have to buy nice clothes in the beginning of the year for them, let them change into that. Let them feel like they can look normal in school, and because it really affects their whole everything. Like, it affects their whole life. Knowing what they're looking like, and they know this looks whatever. So if you, like, even that makes the biggest difference. Like, in every area where you can help them thrive is really, like, the biggest difference in their life. And just making it a strong point that this behavior is not tolerated. And when you have to tolerate with it, just know, like, you always have to tell the parents or the administration just the facts of what you see, what you've observed. And just to make sure that the environment that you're in, you're the president of that classroom, is going to be where every child will walk out successful, confident, happy, healthy children. And you know you were their hero for that year. And if they go to other grades and there's bullying, at least they'll know how to deal with it. At least they'll know how to stand up, be resilient, know how to, like, speak up.
So I've had a few students that, like, they're not getting groomed at home and stuff, but it's also kind of a fine line of, like, so if you would change their clothes, like, is that stepping on, like, how do you present that to the parents?
No, I present to the parents, this is my rule as a teacher. I want the kids to feel good about themselves. It affects their work. If they're really going to come, like, I don't know, if you're having a baby, I don't know, they're wearing too low shoes, like, we're not going to accept that. It's not fair to the child.
Because I've had,
why should they have to suffer?
Past, like,
I think also
Montessori
has so much of, taking care of yourself.
Right.
Washing their hands, their face, brushing their hair.
Right. We had a few, like, when I'd be like, have to send a note being like, friendly reminder that tonight is bath time, because, like, no one would want to sit next to them because they smell.
Right, so in these circle times, I just put a few examples, but that's also talking about cleanliness, brushing your teeth, like spending the year on all these topics, which is so
but
crucial.
It's not, like, but at this age, they're not in charge of a bath. You know what I mean? Like, how, without it.
They can take care of themselves and see it's important because they're not learning it at home.
Right, let them go to the mirror in school and look at their face. I just remember as a kid,
no, it's so
like,
important.
my mother put pom-pom hats on us, and whatever, we were very, like, groomed, but it was so nerdy. I was dying. I was like, I used to get anxiety from those pops because I knew how nerdy it was. But it's interesting, like, as a child, this is like, okay, like, someone could make fun of me for this. I, like, ripped it off the head. I was second out of the class. Like, just no way. And I was like 4 years old, and I understood that concept. Like, oh my gosh, She's like, it's freezing outside. No, but I'm just saying how, like, just imagine what the kids, they know.
Or the ones that come maybe sometimes in the same dress, like, you would just change it and just send it home.
Yeah, I say, like, fine. I don't mind, like, as the teachers, we'll trip in and we'll invest in nice stuff for those days that they really look, because it really affects them. They don't feel good, and even though the kids have that culture, it's still like,
Did you ever have parents that got defensive?
No, I just tell them, this is like, I need them to thrive, and these are the steps I do to make sure that they thrive. They have to feel good also,
I
like
guess
that
you
they're
just put it
wearing.
like that.
It's not a very detailed. Parents don't
You
really
have those
care.
Parents that say, if they want to wear that dress.
Yeah, and so like
okay.
5th day in a row, and it's not washed, my hair's not brushed, and you're like.
But usually it's not.
About.
It doesn't usually happen a lot, really.
Yeah.
But just a kid knowing, like, okay, like my teacher has my back. I know I'll look normal tomorrow. Like, just coming to an environment like that, like you know, like, and in every angle where you can help them succeed and thrive, it really like makes the biggest difference to them. Knowing that they won't be alone in the playground. How many kids go? And just think about the kids who are getting abused at home and at school. Like, when do they have a break?
I know.
So just, you know, as a teacher, if you're going to create a culture like that, if every class really created a culture like that, that really would change the bullying. That would really prevent it. Like, teachers tell me all the time, it's increasing, it's getting worse. It's not like a one-word answer. It's like you have to just really change up the whole culture, take a stand with it, you know? Like, giving them consequences and punishment, it stops it for the moment, but doesn't change it. So it's really like, it's so important just to know that you have the biggest effect on their lives. Like, they will remember you forever. Like, with everything that you've given them. So just know, like, I wrote, the more light we add, the more darkness gets diminished. To be a lamplighter in any area of life, like, you need to start with yourself first. So everything that you're preaching and you're giving to the children, also live by those values and morals, because the kids see if you're consistent with it, if you're aligned with your message. So to really be aligned and to really be a lamplighter, start with yourself first, and to be an example for your children, because that's the first step to education, is being an example, and the second step is teaching with your words. So just remember that you are everything in their life, and it's important that you feel good about yourself as well, and that everyone works together as a team, the administration, the teachers, because that will build a school of excellence when everyone works together.
Thank you. Thank you.
So good luck. It's always nice to be here. And I also gave you guys out just a fun, like, for parents to have activities to support the parent-child involvement at home. So there's really cute activities there as well.